Morning, gentlemen. Today I got up in the morning at 4 o'clock. It reminds me of the day when I used to go for the briefing and we got up at 4 in the morning and then we were seen by the doctor and the medical officer as well as the Met officer used to give us the Met report. Well, those were old days. But today I'm going to talk to you about Iran. And I'm going to give you the military assessment, what's happening. Now, there's a lot of confusing news coming in. Firstly, it says that the Iranians top leadership is fighting amongst themselves. That's the first thing. Second thing, it says Iran is destroyed completely by the American bombing. And a third thing coming in that the Americans are having a tough time thinking what they should do, how they can conquer Iran. Fourth is that they are trying to get ready a coalition of all the GCC countries to fight Iran. Now, what is going to happen with all this? Now, this is the news, but I am going to give you the assessment, and I think I'm the best man qualified to give you the assessment. The assessment is this: firstly, that until and unless boots are on the ground and Iran is conquered physically by boots on the ground, that is, by soldiers, the matter is not going to be solved. That is the first thing. So any amount of bombing, somebody says bunker busting bomb, this thing, that thing, 50,000 American troops lying around there, three aircraft carriers facing Iran, all that is zero. And then there is news that Saudi Arabia is getting ready to attack Iran and they have already attacked the Houthis and all the other countries are Bahrain, Qatar are getting ready. Now Bahrain, Qatar and even Saudi Arabia are in no shakes as great military powers. So there every chance that we think that they are going to make a big impression in the battle, I think is a policy. So Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain, if they do join the battle against Iran, I think it will make only the difference of a whisker because they don't have any battle hardened army, number one. And number two, their forces are too small to make an effect against Iran, which has got 1 million men under arms. And it's going to be a very tough battle indeed. As far as the Americans are concerned, they haven't committed their ground troops to battle. Now, that point, please bear in mind. And for the last 4 months, they have got about 50,000 troops lined up against Iran. In contrast, just see, Americans have got about 80,000 troops in the NATO countries. And I think if the Americans were wise, they would realize that these 80,000 troops which are hanging around in NATO countries are a waste of time. There's no reason. And I can tell you, I think whatever the fear of the West NATO countries are, that Russia is not going to attack any of the NATO countries. If you give Russia a spy, that is Ukraine, I don't think anything more is going to happen. But they have created what is a psychosis of fear. And that psychosis of fear means that the Americans have put 80,000 troops there, not that it's going to make a difference in case there's a conventional assault by the Russian army. Now, forgetting about that, as I've said, those 80,000 troops could have been withdrawn, maybe at least 60,000 of them, and transported to the Central Asia, that is Iran border, for the battle against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And Iran, I believe, has mobilized over 1 million men for battle. It's not going to be an easy joke. And as I've already said, the armies of the GCC countries are too small to make an effect. And we have tried air strikes, air bombers all over, and Iran has not surrendered. I think this should be a subject of study by the historians how such severe bombing has not made Iran surrender. And this is the subject of study also. Well, the fact is, heavy bombing alone cannot bring you victory. What can bring you victory is carpet bombing, that you start bombing the cities. And that is something which will not be tolerated in the modern world. America got away by dropping the two atomic bombs on Japan in 1945, But every day is not Sunday, and this time they will not be allowed to do that, and they will have to pay a tremendous price if they do that. So nuclear weapons are out. You have to fight with conventional weapons, and conventional weapons they have tried all sorts of drone attacks, rocket attacks, aerial bombing, but Iran has not surrendered. Now, that is the crucial issue. Though Iran is destroyed, that's the first thing I will tell you, Iran is destroyed. And my personal reading is that Mujtaba Khomeini, the son of Ayatollah Khomeini, in my opinion, I think he's no more. Or maybe he's run away to Russia. There's a possibility. But I'm afraid he's not the leader now. So the question arises, who is the leader of Iran once he's missing? That's a mystery, and I'm sorry to say that Mossad and the CIA and even the KGB, the Russian secret police, have not been able to come out with any solution as to what's happening. So, gentlemen, let's bear in mind that everything is not honky dory, doesn't go by the book. We don't know who's leading Iran, but somebody is there who's hardening the resistance. Though there's internal fighting in the top leadership, the fact is, whatever you may say, the Iranians have not surrendered. And they will not surrender with just bombing alone. Field Marshal Montgomery, in his memoirs, has written, and also in his history of warfare, which is a very erudite and educated book which people must read, that the infantry soldier is key to a battle because you need someone to hold the ground, and you can't hold the ground with rockets and missiles and all bombers flying. You need the lowly infantry soldier to hold the ground. So to hold the ground means you have to use the infantry soldier. If the Americans have 50,000 soldiers, they have to hold the ground to ensure victory. And it's not going to be easy because 50,000 troops, maybe the GCC countries are helping them with a few thousand here and there more. It's not going to be easy to beat the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which has got over 1 million men. And then what happens if you launch these men into battle and you suffer heavy casualties? That means it becomes a Pyrrhic victory, a victory which will not bring about the results. If you remember, during the Second World War, the Germans were defeated by the British, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. The British were so emaciated, their economy had been shattered, that they couldn't even hold on to their colonies, and within 2 years, the British Empire collapsed. That's history. And so now the same thing is going to happen here. Unless the Americans win a decisive victory, a victory in which the Iranians fight tooth and nail, would be a Pyrrhic victory, and that could well be the demise of America. Mark my words, gentlemen, it could well be the demise of the United States. And there's nothing to worry about it, nothing to think about it, because throughout history, for the last 5,000 years, we have had dynasties and empires and they collapsed. We had the Ottoman Empire, the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, the Mughal Empire, the British Empire, the French Empire, all at one stage were at the apex and then they went down and they collapsed. They collapsed like a pack of cards. So the American Empire also has to come to an end. Probably, in my view, it would have lasted another 50 years if the American presidents had been more astute and not absolutely foolish. They committed the American economy and the army to battle at all sorts of places where they're not required. And they played with kid gloves with those people who were their enemies, in fact. They failed to recognize who's their enemy. Like, for example, one of the biggest enemies, I think, of the United States is Pakistan. And if you go to Pakistan, you'll find that the Paki people there hate the Americans. And whenever something happens to America, they start celebrating. And yet, Donald Trump couldn't see who is the enemy, and he kept on lionizing, General Munir, calling him for food, for lunch, and whatnot, and saying he's a great man. And Munir has done nothing for America. That is a fact. So, gentlemen, my conclusions are very simple. Until and all the Americans fight and win, and it's not going to be easy. It's not going to win. use every guard. The Americans have got 1 million men and will fight them. It has to be an infantry battle. And you can't win just alone by sitting there and bombing. And now the 50,000 soldiers sitting there cannot win the war. Let's be clear about it. America has to bring another 50,000 soldiers which are hanging around in Europe, and forget about NATO. NATO is a defunct organization. I'll talk about it later at some stage. And it's about time people realize that that NATO is a paper tiger. Now the only real tiger is China at the moment, and the Chinese are playing a surreptitious game. I will make another video on how China is rising up, and it's a sharp contrast to India, which has sunk into the morass. We have leaders, who have led India down, and that again I will talk on another topic on another day. But at the moment, as far as Iran is concerned, I think it's not a cut and dried case. And I think Donald Trump's think tank must be wondering what the hell's going on. I thought I'm going to win the battle like I did in Venezuela and the way I'm winning in Cuba. And it's not happening in Iran. Though the leadership has been wiped out, more than top of the leaders, 100 of them have been killed, but nothing is happening. Iran is resilient, fighting on. Iran has a big tradition, a big empire, and you must remember they had big emperors like Cyrus and Darius and Xerxes. They were very big emperors who ruled over a lot of area of the world. So it's not going to be easy, gentlemen. And America will have to pull its chestnut out of the fire. Nobody will do it. They'll have to think of a different way to conquer Iran. And until you conquer Iran, put your boots on the ground, occupy Iran, there'll be no peace. And that is the crux of the issue, gentlemen. Peace is going to be elusive. And the countries which are going to suffer are the GCC countries, the UAE, Dubai, Saudi Arabia is going to suffer very badly. And I hope to God they survive this Holocaust which is going to come. Gentlemen, I think I will close now. I hope you like my video. Please share it with your friends. Come back again. Please subscribe to my channel. I hope you like what I'm saying. I will make a different video in Hindi and Punjabi later. But then, at the moment, goodbye, God bless, and take care. Thank you.